More than 3,000 kilometers, mountains, heat, altitude, time trials, and 3 weeks designed to expose even the smallest weakness. The 2026 Vuelta a España looks brutal. There is just one problem: the most dominant cyclist of his generation is coming. He was a neo-pro, a quiet competitor in a peloton dominated by grandmasters and seasoned veterans. Nobody expected this young rider to dictate the terms of a brutal 3-week race. Yet over 21 days of intense competition, the cycling world witnessed the rapid rise of an extraordinary talent. His 3-stage victories served as undeniable proof that the peloton had discovered an unusual physical capacity. He did not limit himself to hunting individual stages. His third-place overall finish demonstrated a deep consistency across 3 weeks of relentless racing, surviving the crosswinds, the crashes, and the high-altitude passes. The defining moment came on the penultimate mountain stage. With the podium hanging in the balance, he launched an audacious 40-kilometer solo attack. He rode alone through the rain-soaked mountains, holding off a desperate chase from the world's best climbers to secure his spot on the final podium in Madrid. That performance did far more than secure a debut podium. The 2019 Vuelta a España was the event that introduced a generational phenomenon to the wider cycling audience, establishing a template for his aggressive style. Now, 7 years later, he returns to Spain. He is no longer the young neo-pro chasing established champions, but the dominant leader every rival must try to defeat. On August 3, 2026, UAE team Emirates XRG confirmed the return of Tadej Pogačar to the Vuelta a España, ending his 7-year absence from the Spanish roads. His immediate preparation took shape on the steep climbs around his training base in Monaco, targeting the high heat and thin air he will face in late August. He returns not to chase champions, but as an established leader. With 5 Tour de France yellow jerseys won between 2020 and 2026, alongside his 2024 Giro d'Italia title, he has conquered nearly every major race except this one. As the outright favourite, the burden of control falls squarely on his shoulders. He must now manage the tactical flow of the race, coordinate defensive riding, and withstand constant coordinated attacks from rival teams. Every move he makes is scrutinised. Every competitor will build their strategy around defeating him, but the path to completing his Grand Tour collection is loaded with unresolved pressures. A punishing route, the internal expectations of his UAE squad, elite rivals, residual Tour fatigue, and the blistering Spanish summer heat all stand in his way. Only one major victory remains absent from his palmares, raising the question of whether he can conquer the one race that has eluded him. Secure Tadej Pogačar's position among the giants of professional cycling. Yet Grand Tour history reserves its most exclusive club for those who conquer all 3 of the sport's 3-week stage races. Winning the Tour, the Giro, and the Vuelta a España during a single career remains a rare achievement. Only 8 riders have ever completed this triple crown, a historic list spanning decades of road cycling. The extreme difficulty stems from the vastly different demands of each race. A rider must master the freezing, high-altitude passes of Italy in May, the blinding speed of France in July, and the suffocating late summer heat of Spain. Beyond the immediate physical toll, this pursuit demands years of careful preparation and exceptional career longevity. Pogačar's return to the Vuelta a España in 2026 addresses a grand legacy question. Securing the red jersey would establish his place alongside the absolute legends of the sport. Only a select group of legendary champions in the history of road cycling have ever conquered all 3 Grand Tours. Jacques Anquetil was the first to complete the trilogy in 1963, followed by Felice Gimondi. Eddy Merckx and Bernard Hinault dominated their respective eras to join them, setting a benchmark of versatility that few could ever match. In the modern era, only Alberto Contador, Vincenzo Nibali, and Chris Froome have managed to survive the distinct demands of the Giro, the Tour, and the Vuelta during their careers. This is the exclusive territory that awaits a complete palmares. Without the red jersey, Pogačar remains outside this historical circle, his collection unfinished. The Spanish race stands as the final barrier between a dominant contemporary career and entry into the sport's ultimate pantheon. Starting on August 22nd, the race covers 3,275 kilometers over 21 stages, crossing 4 countries: Monaco, France, Andorra, and Spain. But the defining metric of this edition is its total vertical gain, more than 58,000 meters of cumulative climbing, making it one of the most mountainous Grand Tours ever designed. It presents an unrelenting series of environmental and physical pressure blocks. The pressure begins immediately in Monaco with a technical 9-kilometer individual time trial on the Formula One street circuit. This opening test establishes an instant general classification hierarchy, forcing contenders out of their defensive shells from day one. By stages 3 and 4, the race enters the Pyrenees, throwing high-altitude hypoxic stress at the peloton before the riders' bodies have fully adapted to 3 weeks of racing. Stage 3 climbs to the French ski resort of Font-Romeu, rising above 2,000 meters, followed immediately by a brutal summit finish on the steep slopes of Pal in Andorra. Instead of offering recovery, the route escalates. Stage 9 confronts the riders with a 188-kilometer mountain monster, finishing on the Alto de Aitana. This single day demands over 5,000 meters of elevation gain, testing sustained threshold power on long, grueling gradients. As the race moves south into Andalusia, the physical challenge turns environmental. The peloton faces the suffocating interior heat of the Spanish summer, where temperatures routinely exceed 35 degrees Celsius. In this atmosphere, the final week becomes an outright war of attrition. Cumulative fatigue peaks on the rocky, exposed slopes of Calar Alto on stage 12, followed by the steep ramps of Sierra de la Pandera on stage 14. The ultimate selection occurs on stage 20, the Queen stage, finishing on the Collado del Alguacil. This relentless climb features gradients averaging over 10%, stripping away any remaining tactical safety nets. Finally, breaking with 5 years of tradition, the race bypasses Madrid entirely, concluding with a grueling final run into Granada beneath the shadow of the Alhambra fortress. The route demands absolute physical survival. The extreme layout of this 3-week race is designed to expose any weakness, yet its sheer variety might inadvertently reward absolute versatility. By building an unrelenting test of survival, the organizers may have created a course that suits the race favorite perfectly. A route that matches a champion's strengths does not become easier for the peloton. Instead, it becomes far more hazardous for everyone else. The critical question shifts from the brutal geometry of the roads to the precise contents of the rider's physical toolkit, and whether those specific weapons are enough to conquer Spain. 5 Tour de France titles and a dominant Giro d'Italia victory prove his climbing capacity. High-altitude triumphs across Europe show he can sustain elite pacing for over 30 minutes, matching the long, oxygen-depleted passes of the Pyrenees. But the 2026 course also demands immediate, violent acceleration on double-digit gradients. This is where his explosive kick, perfected in the Ardennes Classics, becomes a weapon. He creates instant gaps on brutal ramps like the Sierra de la Pandera, forcing rivals to chase in panic. His sustained power allows him to maintain high-tempo efforts over hours, turning solo, long-range attacks into calculated tactical pressure. Against the clock, his time trial capabilities offer another distinct advantage. His victory in the short 2024 Tour de France individual time trial proves he can gain immediate seconds on the Monaco street circuit and defend them in the final week. On technical descents, his precise bike handling eliminates risk and saves essential energy before the real climbing even begins. Throughout 21 days, his aggressive hunting of intermediate bonus seconds builds a general classification lead without requiring a single high mountain stage victory. His versatility allows him to secure time in crosswinds, technical flat finishes, and medium mountain breakaways alike. Combined with a documented capacity for rapid recovery and relentless consistency across varied terrain, his physical toolkit matches every extreme demand the Spanish roads can throw at him. No single rider conquers a 3-week race alone. To secure the red jersey, UAE team Emirates XRG has built an elite 8-man squad designed to sacrifice their own ambitions for their leader. Joao Almeida, the runner-up in the 2025 Vuelta, provides a formidable secondary general classification card, ready to act as a high-tempo mountain lieutenant. Alongside him, Jay Vine offers aggressive breakaway coverage to act as a tactical bridge, while Pavel Sivakov provides consistent pace setting and protection. Pablo Torres and Kevin Vermeerke round out the roster, monitoring real-time telemetry and maintaining essential team communication, while Domen Novak and Ivo Oliveira handle the daily labor of collecting water, managing nutrition handoffs, and shielding their leader from the wind. This collective coordination is a calculated trade of energy. Domestiques ride in the wind so their leader can shelter, saving up to 30% of their physical capacity for the decisive climbs. Throughout the flat valleys, this unit controls the race, managing gaps and neutralizing dangerous escapes rather than chasing down every single attack. Yet this protective shield is not infinite. As the grueling third week of the Vuelta approaches, crashes, illness, and cumulative fatigue can deplete even the strongest lineup. When domestic support fractures under pressure, a leader is ultimately left to face the mountains entirely alone. UAE team Emirates XMG backs this roster with an estimated €45 million budget. This financial machine funds custom wind tunnel testing, altitude camps costing €300,000, and advanced recovery systems. Aerodynamic refinements on their custom carbon frames save seconds over 3,000 kilometers, while performance analysts monitor real-time telemetry to prevent physical collapse. Yet professional road cycling remains unpredictable. Massive investments can minimize risk, but they cannot buy immunity from a stray spectator, a sudden puncture, or a single crash. On the road to Granada, even the most expensive machinery must survive the chaos. A rival does not need to outperform Tadej Pogačar every day to dismantle his race. They only need to exploit a single crack on a single climb at the exact moment his defensive shield falters. Spain's roads offer several specialized paths to execute this pressure. Movistar's Enric Mas brings years of experience on these dry Spanish climbs, relying on late-race stability to wear down opponents as temperatures rise in Andalusia. In contrast, EF Education's Richard Carapaz operates on pure instinct, using unpredictable, long-range moves to bypass calculated team pacing. If confirmed on the final start list, Felix Gall can apply constant climbing pressure on the steepest gradients, while Matthias Schellmoser and Oscar Only offer tactical mobility, using aggressive positioning to force UAE team Emirates into chasing. Within the UAE camp, the hierarchy remains structured around their leader. Yet any disruption to key support rider Joao Almeida forces a tactical shift, leaving Pogačar more vulnerable to isolation. The threat is compounded by the shadow of four-time winner Primož Roglič. While a recent training crash leaves his 2026 participation uncertain, his history on these roads represents the ultimate test of Slovenian rivalry. Jonas Vingegaard's absence removes a direct mountain opponent, but the formula to defeat Pogačar remains unchanged. By initiating early breakaway bridges, exploiting the suffocating heat, and forcing UAE to spend resources in the valley winds, these rivals aim for a single moment. They wait for the high-altitude passes of the final week, hoping to find the favorite isolated, exhausted, and entirely out of support. A grueling 2026 season leaves very little margin for error. Having secured victories at Liège-Bastogne-Liège, the Tour de Romandie, and the Tour de Suisse, alongside a punishing battle for second place at the Tour de France, his body enters Spain carrying massive cumulative fatigue. At this level, the line between peak performance and physical collapse is remarkably thin. The human body stores a limited amount of glycogen, the readily available carbohydrate fuel required for sustained, high-intensity climbing. On back-to-back mountain stages, if a rider fails to consume enough carbohydrates to replenish these stores, the result is a sudden, dramatic loss of power. This threat is amplified by the blistering late summer heat of Andalusia, where temperatures routinely climb past 35 degrees Celsius. To keep core temperatures stable, the body must redirect oxygen-rich blood away from the working legs and toward the skin for cooling. Team assistants use ice vests and cold water handoffs to combat this environmental strain, but managing fluid balance remains an exhausting cardiovascular burden. If dehydration sets in, or if consecutive nights of poor sleep disrupt the body's hormonal recovery, a rider's physical capacity shrinks with every passing kilometer. These physiological challenges exist alongside uncontrollable variables. A stray spectator, a sudden puncture, a lingering stomach virus, or a crash can instantly erase years of elite preparation. A single hydration error on a long climb, a mistimed attack, or one bad recovery night can turn a dominant general classification lead into a multi-minute deficit. 7 years ago, a 20-year-old Slovenian rode through these mountains to prove he belonged among the world's best. Now the entire Peloton lines up to prove he can be beaten. The 2026 Vuelta a España will resolve this ultimate struggle. The relentless mountain route and accumulated season fatigue may finally expose a vulnerability, triggering a historic upset. Or conquering these final 21 days will solidify his position as the most dominant stage racer of the modern era. Which competitor do you believe has the absolute best chance to defeat him on these roads? Name one rider in the comments and explain why. For more professional cycling analysis, subscribe to the Cycling Report. 7 years ago, Spain introduced a fearless prodigy chasing legends. Today, Tadej Pogačar is the legend, and the 2026 Vuelta is his ultimate frontier. In a sport defined by suffering, he continues to redefine what is humanly possible. Whether these brutal roads finally break him or cement his eternal legacy, we are witnessing a defining moment in cycling history.